In this lecture, we will learn about basic considerations in the analysis of power cycles by discussing the idealizations and simplifications commonly employed in the analysis of power cycles. After that, we will discuss the Carnot cycle in detail with PV and TS diagrams and also discuss its value in engineering. And at the end of this lecture, we will talk about air standard assumptions. So let's start. Basic considerations in the analysis of power cycles. Most power producing devices operate on cycles, and the study of power cycles is an exciting and important part of thermodynamics. The cycles encountered in actual devices are difficult to analyze because of the presence of complicating effects such as friction and the absence of sufficient time for establishment of the equilibrium conditions during the cycle. To make an analytical study of a cycle feasible, we have to keep the complexities at a manageable level and utilize some idealizations. When the actual cycle is stripped of all the internal irreversibilities and complexities, we end up with the cycle that resembles the actual cycle closely but is made up totally of internally reversible processes. Such a cycle is called the ideal cycle. The cycles discussed in this lecture are somewhat idealized, but they still retain the general characteristics of the actual cycles they represent. The conclusion reached from the analysis of ideal cycles are also applicable to actual cycles. The thermal efficiency of the Otto cycle, the ideal cycle for spark ignition automobile engines, for example, increases with the compression ratio. Recall the heat engines that operate on a totally reversible cycle, such as the Carnot cycle, have the highest efficiency of all heat engines operating between the same temperature levels. That is, nobody can develop a cycle more efficient than the Carnot cycle. Then the following question arises naturally: if the Carnot cycle is the best possible cycle, why do we not use it as the model cycle for all the heat engines instead of bothering with several so-called ideal cycles? The answer to this section is hardware related. Most cycles encountered in practice differ significantly from the Carnot cycle, which make it unstable as a realistic model. The ideal cycles are internally reversible, but unlike the Carnot cycle, they are not necessarily externally reversible. That is why may involve irreversibilities external to the system, such as heat transfer through a finite temperature difference. Therefore, the thermal efficiency of an ideal cycle in general is less than of a totally reversible cycle operating between the same temperatures. However, it is still considerably higher than the thermal efficiency of an actual cycle because of the idealizations utilized. However, the idealizations and simplifications commonly employed in the analysis of power cycles can be summarized as follows. The cycle does not involve any friction, therefore the working fluid does not experience any pressure drop, as it flows in pipes or devices such as heat exchangers. And the expansion and compression processes take place in a quasi-equilibrium manner. And finally, the pipes connecting the various components of a system are well insulated, and heat transfer through them is negligible. Neglecting the changes in kinetic and potential energies of the working fluid is another commonly utilized simplifications in the analysis of power cycles. This is reasonable since the devices that involve shaft work such as turbines, compressors and pumps, the kinetic and potential energy terms are usually very small relative to the other terms in the energy equations. Fluid velocity encountered in devices such as condensers, boilers and mixing chambers are typically low, and the fluid stream experience little changes in their velocities, again making kinetic energy changes negligible. The only devices where the changes in kinetic energy are significant are the nozzles and diffusers, which are specifically designed to create large changes in velocity. Now we will discuss about Carnot cycle and its value in engineering. The well-known Carnot cycle first proposed in 1824 by French engineer Sadi Carnot. The Carnot cycle is composed of four reversible processes two isothermal and two isentropic processes, and it can be executed either in a closed or a steady flow systems. The four processes are as follows. Process 1 to 2 is the isothermal heat addition process. Process 2 to 3 is isentropic expansion. In the same way, process 3 to 4 is isothermal heat rejection, and process 4 to 1 is the isentropic compression processes. All the processes are shown here with the help of PV and TS diagrams. The Carnot cycle can be executed in a closed system, a piston cylinder device, or a steady flow system utilizing two turbines and two components, as shown here in figure, and either a gas or a vapor can be utilized as the working fluid. The Carnot cycle is the most efficient cycle that can be executed between the heat source at temperature Ts and a heat sink at temperature TL, and its thermal efficiency can be expressed as thermal efficiency is equal to 1 minus temperature of heat sink divided by the temperature of heat source. Now for better understanding of Carnot cycle, consider a piston cylinder device. However, the piston is movable. For process 1 to 2, that is the isothermal heat addition process, initially at state 1 the temperature of the gas is Th and the cylinder head is in close contact with the source at temperature Th. The gas is allowed to expand slowly, doing work on the surrounding. As the gas expands, the temperature of the gas tends to decrease. But as soon as the temperature drops by a small amount, dH, some heat is transferred from the reservoir into the gas, raising the temperature of the gas once again to Th. Thus the gas temperature is kept constant at Th. Since the temperature difference between the gas and the reservoir never exceeds to a small amount Th, that is a reversible heat transfer process. It continues until the piston reaches at position 2. The total amount of heat transferred during this process is considered as Th. Now the second process, process 2 to 3, that is the isentropic expansion process. During this process, once again at state 2, the reservoir that was in contact with the cylinder head is removed and replaced by insulation so that the system becomes adiabatic. The gas continues to expand slowly, doing work on the surrounding until its temperature drops to Th. The temperature of the gas drops from Th to TL and the piston moves at state 3. The piston is assumed to be frictionless and the process to be a quasi-equilibrium. So the process is reversible as well as adiabatic. However, the process 3 to 4 is the isothermal heat rejection process. During process 2 to 3, the cylinder head was insulated. Now at state 3, the insulation at the cylinder head is removed and the cylinder is brought into contact with the sink at temperature TL. Now the piston is pushed inward by an external force doing work on the gas. As the gas is compressed, its temperature tends to rise. But as soon as the temperature rises a small amount, heat is transferred from the gas to the sink, causing the gas temperature to drop to a value of TL again. Thus the gas temperature remains constant since the temperature difference between the gas and the sink never exceeds by a small amount. That is a reversible heat transfer process. It continues until the piston reaches at state 4. The amount of heat rejected from the gas during this process is symbolized with Q out or QL. After that, the process 4 to 1, that is the isentropic compression process. The process 4 to 1 is the isentropic compression process. State 4 is such that when the low temperature reservoir is removed, the insulation is put back on the cylinder head and the gas is compressed in a reversible manner. The gas returns to its initial state at state 1. The temperature rises from TL to Th during this reversible isentropic compression process, which completes the cycle. As we already discussed that the thermal efficiency of the Carnot cycle is expressed as 1 minus TL over Th. We already discussed about the isothermal heat transfer process in the previous slides. However, in reality, isothermal heat transfer is very difficult to achieve. because it would require very large heat exchangers and it would take a very long time. Therefore, it is not practical to build an engine that would operate on a cycle that closely approximates the Carnot cycle. The real value of the Carnot cycle comes from its being a standard against which the actual or the ideal cycles can be compared. The thermal efficiency of the Carnot cycle is a function of a sink and source temperatures only, and the thermal efficiency relation for the Carnot cycle conveys an important message that is equally applicable to both ideal and actual cycles. Thermal efficiency increases with an increase in the average temperature at which heat is supplied to the system, or with the decrease in the average temperature at which heat is rejected from the system. Okay, here we will see the derivation of the efficiency of Carnot cycle. The problem statement will be like as: show that the thermal efficiency of a Carnot cycle operating between the temperature limits of Th and Tl is solely a function of these two temperatures. Solution: it is to be shown that the efficiency of a Carnot cycle depends on the source and sink temperatures alone. First, we have to draw the Ts diagram of Carnot cycle. All the four processes that comprise the Carnot cycle are reversible, and thus the area under each process curve represents the heat transfer for that process. Heat is transferred to the system during process 1 to 2 and rejected during process 3 to 4. Therefore, the amount of heat input and heat output for the cycle can be expressed as Q in is equal to Th S2 minus S1. S1 and S2 are the entropies at state 1 and state 2 respectively. Th is the temperature at which heat is supplied. In the same way, the equation for Qout can be expressed as Qout is equal to TL S3 minus S4. S3 and S4 are the entropies at state 3 and state 4, while TL is the temperature of heat sink. Since the process 2 to 3 and 4 to 1 are isentropic, and thus we can write it as S2 is equal to S3 and S4 is equal to S1. And we can write the equation of Q out as TL S2 minus S1. We see that the thermal efficiency of a Carnot cycle is W net over Q in. We can also express it as 1 minus Q out over Q in. Now put the value of Q out and Q in as expressed above in this equation, and the equation becomes as 1 minus TL S2 minus S1 over TH S2 minus S1. Cancel out the terms S2 minus S1 and the equation reduces to 1 minus TL over TH. It is important to note that the thermal efficiency of a Carnot cycle is independent of the type of the working fluid used, or whether the cycle is executed in a closed or a steady flow system. Now we will discuss about air standard assumptions. In gas power cycles, the working fluid remains a gas throughout the entire cycle. Spark ignition engines, diesel engines, and conventional gas turbines are familiar examples of devices that operate on gas cycles. In all these engines, energy is provided by burning a fuel within the system boundaries. That is, they are internal combustion engines. Because of this combustion process, the composition of the working fluid changes from air and fuel to combustion products during the course of the cycle. However, considering that air is predominantly nitrogen that undergoes hardly any chemical reactions in the combustion chamber, so the working fluid closely resembles air at all times. The actual gas power cycles are rather complex. To reduce the analysis to a manageable level, we utilize the following approximations commonly known as the air standard assumptions. The first one is the working fluid is air which continuously circulates in a closed loop and always behave as an ideal gas. All the processes that make up the cycle are internally reversible. The third one is the combustion process is replaced by a heat addition process from the external source. And the last one, the exhaust process is replaced by a heat rejection process that restores the working fluid to its initial state. Another assumption that is often utilized to simplify the analysis even more is that air has constant specific heats whose values are determined at room temperature or at 25 degrees C. When this assumption is utilized, the air standard assumptions are called the cold air standard assumptions. A cycle for which the air standard assumptions are applicable is frequently referred to as an air standard cycle. So in this lecture, we studied the basic considerations in the analysis of power cycles. We also discussed the Carnot cycle and its value in engineering. And at the end, we discussed the air standard assumptions. Thank you for your attention.